Welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Kathleen Walter. I'm joined by Frank Scaturro, Republican candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives in New York's 4th Congressional District on Long Island. A visiting professor at Hofstra Law School, he's written a number of books and collaborated on Senator Arlen Specter's memoir. He's also served as counsel for the Constitution on the Senate Judiciary Committee. Welcome to Newsmax TV, Frank.
Thank you, Kathleen. Great to be here.
You're running on a promise to help bring change in the areas of taxes, spending and jobs, national security and healthcare. Tell us a little about why you're best suited to take on these challenges in Washington.
Well, you know, I'm coming to this job having spent a lifetime pretty much with a passion for our history, with a passion for our government. And I've had the opportunity to take on a corrupt bureaucracy from the outside when I helped push for the restoration of President Grant's tomb a number of years ago. Had opportunity to write about what's going on, to teach about what's going on, and to fight some battles on behalf of constitutionalist judges while serving on the Senate Judiciary Committee staff. And I thought, having had all this experience and seeing our country at a crossroads that will really define which direction we take going forward, this was the time to step up and offer myself for public service.
Frank, you face a tough primary fight, though you're getting grassroots Tea Party support. One of your challengers, Francis Becker, is getting the nod from Congressman Peter King, your Republican Long Island neighbor. How are you going to distinguish yourself in this race?
Well, I don't think that'll be too difficult. Mr. Becker, good man, nice guy, nonetheless, like our Democratic opponent, Carolyn McCarthy, a 7-term legislative incumbent. He served in the Nassau County Legislature for nearly 15 years, and when he was part of the majority, he cast so many votes in favor of higher taxes and higher spending. And that was in a county, this was at a time during the 1990s when most municipalities across the country were teeming in budget surpluses and tobacco litigation settlement money, and they were cutting their spending, they were cutting taxes, and Nassau County was increasing taxes and fees. And Mr. Becker just never distinguished himself from the pack, and he made what was already an onerous tax burden even worse. And unlike me, I was out there for now a year and a half, if you include the time laying the groundwork for this campaign. I've been an official candidate since early July of 2009. Well, Mr. Becker was not interested in this seat, expressed no interest in the seat by his own admission until he was selected at the last minute by a local Republican chairman to get into the race. And I think I would say this of anyone, that you cannot run a viable campaign against a 7-term Democratic incumbent if you start, as he did, in mid-June. And in fact, he hasn't really been able to get a campaign off the ground, and unfortunately hasn't run an issue-oriented campaign.
You talked about Democrat incumbent Carolyn McCarthy, who's held the seat for 14 years. She is favored to win. How can you or any Republican get the upper hand here?
I think this is a very unusual cycle. We're facing, I think, potentially a greater Republican tidal wave than we faced in 1994, and even that was a campaign cycle that preceded her congressional career. Voters are really taking to the streets because they are not, they are more profoundly dissatisfied with the representation they've gotten than ever before. And I think you're going to see a lot of seats that are turning, that had previously been in the Democratic column.
Now, there are reports that Representative McCarthy got thousands of dollars in campaign checks from a lobbyist and his son, who've since been charged with funneling illegal cash to politicians. What do you make of this?
Right. Well, it's very disturbing. And in fact, the Congresswoman is one of the top, if not the top recipients of money from that firm. And she secured millions of dollars in earmarks that are only explainable as favors to that firm. These are serious charges, and it shows at a minimum that you're dealing with a member who is more loyal to special interests than to her own constituents. I mean, apart from helping out folks like that who are campaign contributors, she has simply been a rubber stamp for Pelosi and for that agenda. and she's nowhere to be seen in the district. We really do not have representation to speak of.
Last question real quickly, Frank. As a New Yorker, how do you feel about the proposed Ground Zero mosque? New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg supports the idea and says the controversy is political and will be over on November 3rd, the day after the midterm elections. What is your view on the mosque plan?
I'm against locating the mosque right there, right overlooking the Ground Zero site. As a constitutionalist, I fully respect everyone's right to erect houses of worship, to exercise their religious freedom. But when location does matter when you're talking about the traditional discretion that municipalities have to determine zoning matters. You would not have, and I've actually been directly involved with issues in the past, and I'm a Civil War battlefield preservationist, among other things. In the past, there had been opposition, and I was part of the opposition to the construction of a theme park and to a shopping center on or near Civil War battlefields. And it wasn't because we thought that the underlying projects were things that people didn't have the right to construct. It was a matter of the context. It was a matter of the location. You were talking about hallowed ground where great sacrifice, great human sacrifice occurred. And, of course, in this case, you have this horrible attack that is in such recent memory. I think it's analogous to what we've faced with the Civil War battlefields. And unfortunately, if this project goes forward, it will be seen as a PR victory by too many of our enemies across the globe. They will be viewing it in context as a monument to conquest, and that's not something that I want to see happen there.
All right, Republican candidate in New York's 4th Congressional District, Frank Scaturro, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck with the campaign.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.